I'm joined on the sofa at Cannes by Deb Roy, who is Chief Media Scientist at Twitter. Deb, thanks very much for coming.
My pleasure.
You've been here today talking about the second screen experience, which frankly we can't get enough of. And the number of people who are watching TV and then tapping away on Twitter at the same time.
Well, what's happening is television and Twitter are beginning to intersect, and they're beginning to form a kind of hybrid new communication medium. So that live and open public nature of Twitter matches the live and public nature of television. So the two just have a very, sort of synergistic relationship. There's just been more and more sort of splintering. There's more content to watch. You can time shift and watch it when you want. There are multiple televisions in a household, so the idea of people getting together and watching something together has slowly eroded. And Twitter has essentially been forged into this kind of soundtrack, a social soundtrack for television where you can find your friends, and as you're watching live on TV, you can live on Twitter be talking.
You use Twitter to find out which programs people are watching, and then if they're watching that program, you know that they've seen a particular ad or may have been exposed to a particular ad, and then you tell that to the advertiser, who then gets in touch with the Twitter user via how? Where's the end product?
So the end product is, if you have reached someone with your message on television, it's possible to connect the dots and be able to reach that same person through Twitter. And so that's sort of the enabling mechanism. And the nice thing is, with Twitter, when you tweet, it's a public expression that, hey, I'm watching this show, I thought this was funny, or I thought this was horrible. So it's a big public conversation about what people are seeing on TV.
Second screen is still in its infancy, so it feels premature to say it's been threatened already, but people like Netflix launching House of Cards and Amazon doing all their video on demand content, that's all there to watch anytime you like. So that's not going to generate the Twitter buzz that America's Got Talent will. So how do you tackle that?
In physics, there is a basic formula, a law of motion. Force of an object is equal to its mass multiplied by its acceleration. F equals ma. I think something like that applies to media. If you say, what is the impact that a piece of video has on an audience? But I think there's a second element, which is something like the social acceleration that acts on the video. And if everything on Netflix is being viewed time shifted, and no two people ever see the same piece of content at the same time, it makes it virtually impossible to talk about it. You can finish and say, hey, I saw this great thing, you should watch it, but it's very hard to enjoy the experience together. So I think the social acceleration at play there is very small compared to live simultaneous television. Here's a prediction. I think although today we think of the internet as the place where you do time-shifted viewing, where it's sort of the DVR in the cloud, my prediction is more and more of the internet-based distributors of video are going to rediscover what television networks sort of stumbled on by accident, which is, as a consequence of broadcast technology, you create social experiences because you connect people in the moment.
Maybe this is just my domestic situation, but the peculiar thing about Twitter is that you're talking with people around the world watching the TV, but the conversation in the front room while you're watching the TV together, each with your own second screen, that's kind of vanished.
I don't think so. I think I think about the example when I was watching the presidential debates last year, and I was watching with my wife, and of course we were comparing notes on how we thought the two candidates were doing, President Obama and Mitt Romney, and sometimes we'd disagree, and then I would read some tweets from someone that I know and follow that would either agree or disagree with my point of view, and they would just actually enter into the conversation and add to it. So far from it killing the conversation, there's other voices we know we're interested in, that can enter and just flow into the living room because they're sharing that moment. They just happen to not be in the room.
Okay, Deb Roy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.